Good evening and welcome. I'd like to call to order the regular Village Board meeting for May 18th, 2026. Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Mayor Mullen?
Here.
Trustee Duffy?
Here.
Trustee Grau?
Here.
Trustee McGovern is absent. Trustee McQuillan?
Here.
Trustee Olson is absent. Trustee Semo?
Here.
Thank you very much. At this point, can you please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And I'm going to ask Commander Don Smith to do us the honor of leading us in the pledge.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Present arms. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Don. So first up in our agenda tonight is a proclamation recognizing Piper Millistan for the achieving Best in Show in the Lisle Women's Club 2026 Art Contest. I'd like to welcome Piper and her family, members of the Lisle Women's Club, and Mr. Campion from Lisle Elementary up to the podium, please. Excuse me. The proclamation in your honor reads, whereas the Arts and Culture Committee of the Lisle Women's Club held its 2026 art contest, and whereas the theme of the contest was, what does water mean to you? To create enthusiasm and awareness of their environment and the fun and creativity involved in art. And whereas Piper Millistan, a fifth grade student at Lisle Elementary School, submitted a drawing entitled Kulo Pulo, am I saying it right? That according to contest judges, the energy of the swimmers in the water gives us a feeling of motion, which Piper plays nicely against the quiet grass area. And whereas Piper's artwork was selected as the Best in Show winner, and whereas Piper's winning artwork will now be entered into the General Federation of Women's Club Illinois, GFWC-IL 2027 Art Contest, now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Mary Jo Mullen, Mayor of the Village of Lisle, do hereby issue a proclamation and congratulations to Piper for her accomplishment in winning Best in Show in the Lisle Women's Club 2026 Art Contest. Congratulations, Piper.
One, two, three.
Okay, one more. Thank you.
Alrighty, that'll take us to our next proclamation, which is our Memorial Day proclamation. I'm pleased to present this Memorial Day 2026 proclamation to Commander Don Smith and invite him to the podium to accept this proclamation on behalf of VFW Post 1578. Sorry. The proclamation reads, whereas May 25th, 2026 is Memorial Day, and the Village of Lisle recognizes this day as a day of remembrance for those who have bravely served and given their lives for our country. And whereas the Woodridge Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, Post 1578, excuse me, and the Lisle Woodridge Fire Protection District have jointly participated in special remembrances on this day for over 4 decades. And whereas the Lisle Woodridge Fire Protection District and VFW Post 1578, Lisle Park District, Lisle School District 202, Lisle Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Village of Lisle have come together in the interest of raising public awareness regarding the solemnity of this occasion through the sponsoring of the annual Lisle Memorial Day Parade and Remembrance Ceremony. And whereas this day recognizes the individuals who gave the ultimate sacrifice to our country. Now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Mary Jo Mullen, Mayor of the Village of Lisle, do hereby encourage all residents and other community members to honor and remember those who have fallen in service to our country and participate in Memorial Day on Monday, May 25th, 2026.
Photo time.
Get a photo? It's my neighbor, but he doesn't know that. One, two, three. Thank you.
All right. Next up is board and commission appointments. Prior to asking for a motion, I'd like to review the commission appointments. First is the Economic Development Commission. In consultation with the chairman of the EDC, I appointed Commissioner Herrera as the third advisory member of the EDC to complete a term ending April 30th, 2027. Advisory member Herrera will now join advisory members Patel and Salerno on the EDC in that capacity. This assignment created a vacancy for which I am appointing Erica Finney for a one-year term, also ending April 30th, 2027. Erica's experience in construction and architecture, along with her past involvement with Choose DuPage and the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, will provide additional support and perspective for the commission. For Planning and Zoning Commission, I am appointing Debbie Polowitz to a 3-year term ending April 30th, 2029. Debbie's long-term service to the community, paired with her background in real estate, will be a big asset for our PZC. At this point, may I have a motion to confirm the appointments as presented?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any public comment? Any board discussion? Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Duffy?
Aye.
Trustee Sima?
Aye.
Trustee Grau?
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan?
Aye.
Mayor Mullen? Oh, not for this one.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, and motion passes. That'll bring us to public comment. If anyone's present who wishes to provide public comment, please come on up to the podium. As a reminder, Village Code provides individuals up to 5 minutes for comment, and anyone who wishes to comment on regular agenda items may also do so at this time. Please just introduce yourself for the record, would be great. Thank you.
Cons Boheim, I live at 4600 Winchester. There's an issue with traffic in the neighborhood that stems from the private school that took over Tate Woods. And a big part of the problem is that the one-way street on Middleton, it's 1 block in front of the school. That one-way street was created 30, 40 years ago when the streets were not as wide, when they were just seal-coated, they weren't even paved. I've lived here that long. And the school was first and second grade. All the students were bused in and were on buses. And so the reason that was done was school buses parked in front of the school to let kids off, and they didn't want other cars passing there. 2 years ago, I think it is, the private school moved in there, and their original charter was K through 5, and which is okay, but all the students are car-driven to the school and dropped off. There are no buses, and so I would like to see that one-way, 1 block one-way become a 2-way, so that people could come off of Yackley up Middleton rather than driving down Lacey to get to Schwartz and then come back to the school. And because at the time when when those people are coming through, there's at least 3 bus stops along Lacey that those people all drive past. There's been issues with some people speeding, some people not stopping for the stop sign because they see the bus coming down the street and they want to hurry to get past so they don't have to wait for the bus, for the kids to get loaded on the bus. I don't know if this is the right place to go to see about changing that one-way to a two-way, and letting the school deal with, they've got a big parking lot right in front of the school, they just expanded it. They could easily make a drop off your kids and turn around, go back out Schwartz, so that people that use Schwartz can come in and go back out Schwartz, and people that come in on Middleton, could come in on Middleton instead of Lacey, get to the school, drop off their kids, and turn around and go back out the same way.
Excuse me. For us to be able to follow up with you, would you mind providing your contact info to Karen, our deputy clerk?
Sure.
So that we can follow up with y'all, because I know that we've got a few people in the room that can start looking into things.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Patty Boheim, 4600 Winchester and Lisle. And I just wanted to state that we support the school. We walk by there, people are friendly. It's not the concept of the school, but everything my husband said with the speeding is a problem, and especially with the bus stops, which all the neighbors will, also add to. To me, the one-way makes a lot of sense. It really would. They could just go through there, and it would. I know there's other problems in the neighborhood with the speeding, different streets, but it would make a big difference with all these bus stops if we could get them to go down that first street that connects with the parking lot. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hino Sheth, 1900 Lacey Avenue. My husband's with me as well. Similar concerns. We actually live right off of Lacey, where people turn on from Yackley. We've got 2 young kids. These cars are they're not slow at all. They come off Lacey and they rev up and they go right up to that stop sign and roll right through the stop sign. Sometimes they don't stop at all. In the morning at the bus stops, I have to walk in the middle of the street so that the kids don't get swiped by the speeding cars. When we've asked them to slow down, some of these parents are actually stopping and starting arguments with us in the morning, which is like, we have our kids, and our response is very similar. We're like, we also have kids that want to go to school safely, just like you want to drive your kids safely. And as Patty said, it has nothing to do with the school, the people. It's a combination of them fighting with us, speeding through our neighborhood. Like, we work hard to live where we live. We want our kids to be safe as well. There's 4 stop signs down that street. Every one of those stop signs are getting ran through. I walk in the neighborhood now, I complain straight to the school. I've started taking cars down, and nothing's changing. I don't know what to do at this point. We've called the police station, they've come by, we've sent emails, we've called you guys. Nothing's changing. These cars don't care. We get all the through traffic, that people are commuting through our neighborhood. We're the through street for traffic. So we're getting so much traffic coming through, and then you add a new school in, and we're getting even more traffic for them, and I've heard they're adding more grades in. So it's only gonna increase traffic. Additionally, we can't walk on the sidewalks anymore. They're blocking our sidewalks. They're parking on our sidewalks on Middleton. When we ask them to move, where are they gonna, they're like, well, we have to park here, but why? We can't walk on the sidewalks. We can't walk on the streets. They can't walk their dogs. We can't walk with our kids without worried about getting swiped by a car. So at this point, the safety, even the bus driver, he's complaining at this point. He's like, the amount of times he's been hit almost.
Thank you very much.
Neil Sheth, 1900 Lacey Avenue. So, everything my wife said is spot on. I have called the Lisle Police Department. I've spoken to police officers several times, and notified them of the speeding issues, the rolling through stop signs. I've asked for things like putting up, a speedometer, something that's showing the speed that's going. They said that we can talk to the village. It's under village control. There's only 2 apparently that the police have, and there are different areas within the village. I think we could really benefit from having something there so that these people understand how fast they're going. I'm at a point where I'm getting ready to put a camera up to be able to capture every single car because people don't believe us. We put in a FOIA request asking for public records for all the traffic citations. We were told that there were no public records available, but we witnessed an accident in that intersection, so it's hard to understand why no records were available. If you talk with the school, you talk with the bus driver, he will tell you how many times he has almost gotten hit. Several cars have sped down and slammed on their brakes because they saw the bus coming. So, we are sort of in that neighborhood where there aren't really sidewalks there, right? So our street on Lacey, we don't have any sidewalks. There's a sidewalk right there on Winchester that the kids stand on. So we have to walk in the street, and these cars need to understand that. And now that the weather is getting better, I see so many families walking around in the street, and it's not very safe when these cars are speeding down, especially during the morning time and the afternoon time when that school is getting out. So we would really like for the village to do something, have a conversation with the school to understand what options are there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bear Bohem. Right near where I live, down Lacey, there's a problem with the stop sign, and the car is just speeding right by it. A few days ago, I was right there and getting on the bus, and then a car just was like right there. I was scared to get on the bus because I thought the car was gonna like hit the bus or something. And like you could talk to the bus driver, and he would still say that there are a lot of cars that have almost hit. And so, I think, the one time there was a police car, right by the stop sign to stop, the cars from going down. So, maybe we could, add a camera there or get another police car there to, stop the cars from speeding past the stop sign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
And just a side comment, he's super brave, dude.
Hi, my name's Heidi Eklund. I live at the 4500 block of Devon and Lacey. I'm literally the corner house. I am with these wonderful people who have had numerous issues with the drivers and the school itself. I have actually been in correspondence with the school via phone call, via email, and they say they're going to address it, and nothing happens, and they say they cannot address it how their parents are driving through our neighborhood because it's not on their property. And I said, but you guys are a private institution. We didn't have these problems when it was Tate Woods. I lived there when it was Tate Woods, and we did not have these problems of people speeding through the neighborhood. And as somebody else stated, their parents are very confrontational. All we will do is yell slow down, and they will literally start screaming at us and reverse, and it has scared the kids. And at any given moment at the corner of Devon and Lacey in the mornings or in the afternoon, there could be 10 kids standing at that bus stop, and we get picked up on the side closer to them, and there's no sidewalk on either side. So if we were to stand on the side with the sidewalk, the bus would be stopping in the intersection, and the bus won't do that because people it's not a four-way stop. My first suggestion is putting a four-way stop in at all of these intersections. That would help alleviate some of the problem because they come flying down Devon from the school, and they don't have to stop. And it's downhill, so unless you're braking, you're going to be, by the time you hit my house, you will be easily hitting, I tested it was 40 miles an hour. And they're not braking through our neighborhood. They're not stopping. They're not taking care in the world. There could be kids walking, like they said, down the street, and they don't slow down. They just continue at their high speed through the neighborhood. And it's a very unsafe. The school's not handling it. I've had many conversations with the police. I've told the police, you can sit in my driveway. My driveway, they would not be seen from the street, and they would be able to see these. The 2 times that they sat in my driveway and actually pulled in, they caught somebody with the very first car who passed by them because they were blowing the stop sign. So it is clearly, they even said, it is a situation. They are not following, but nobody is following up with it. the police come out. When we call and make a complaint, they show up for a day or two, and then it's like we're forgotten about. We also had finally worked it out with the school that they had security sitting at the corner of Middleton and Devon, and were preventing people from coming down Devon to go to Ogden Avenue. And somebody, I don't know, the school said the village/police put a stop to it, that they couldn't block them from coming down our street. So once that stopped, then it was like a free-for-all again, and the parents didn't give a rat's about what was happening. And we have sent pictures of license plates, we have sent pictures of the cars, I have addressed it through, and nothing is changing. And their response, like I said, was they can't do anything. And I'm like, you can do something. You're a private institution. They're paying to come here. They don't have to come here. They could go to a public school like the rest of our neighborhood does. They don't have to go there, and they could have repercussions, and they tell me they can't, and they can't control their parents. Well, it's not safe for us or our children. And like I said, there's 10 kids. Starting next fall, in the morning, there will be, I think, 7 kids at our bus stop, and in the afternoon, there will be 10 kids getting on and off the bus. And that's just my stop. That's just my stop. And there's a stop at every street down Lacey from there to River. And so there's a lot of kids in our neighborhood. And so we're talking 30-plus kids who are at these bus stops on a daily basis, and it needs to be addressed.
Thank you all for
Yep.
bringing this to our attention, and we'll look into it.
Hi, my name is Rachel. Please keep Gigi water.
Susan Surreal. I'm really sorry your FOIAs are not being responded to correctly, and I'm also sorry that you're not getting answers. This is a common issue with this village. Obviously, you've known about this because they've called and emailed in. So don't act like it's a new subject tonight. Again, another month, another water bill, $250 to $350 in Oakview. Thank you very much for that. For over 68 years, Oakview residents have been treated like a problem this village would rather manage than solve. That is the truth. For decades, Oakview residents have paid taxes into this village like everyone else. We fund roads, police, fire protection, schools, village operations, local businesses. We contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars through the wheeling agreement and utility-related revenue streams. Yet when it comes to something as basic as essential as water service, this village has spent the last years telling residents of Oakview that there's no option, it's too complicated, it's too expensive. It's been going on for 20 years, I've been told this. At this point, these are not explanations, these are excuses. That's what they are, they're excuses. Because when this village wants something done, somehow it gets it done. Downtown projects get done, branding projects get done, consultants get hired, redevelopment gets pursued, studies are commissioned, outside firms get retained, money appears, urgency appears, and leadership appears. But when Oakview residents ask for equal treatment, suddenly everybody becomes powerless here. And now residents are being told that ownership of the Oakview infrastructure is somehow settled. Settled based on what? Because the village manager's own email as of March 19th, 2026, admits that the 1970 Illinois Supreme Court case did not determine the ownership, but what the court did determine was this. The infrastructure was customer funded, not investor funded. Residents effectively paid for those systems through their lot purchases. And because of that, the utility was prohibited from earning a return on those assets. That is a massive fact because it destroys the narrative that the utility simply built and paid for that system itself. So residents are asking a very reasonable question. If the utility did not fund the infrastructure, then where are the deeds? Where are the easements? Where are the conveyances? Where are the subdivision dedications? Where are the titles? And where is the bill of sale? Residents have searched county records and cannot locate them. And despite decades passing, nobody in this village government has publicly produced them. Not one deed, not one record of conveyance, not one complete claim of ownership. Yet residents are expected to simply accept, don't ask questions, ownership is settled. That's not transparency, that's not accountability, and frankly, that should concern every resident in this village. Because we are talking about infrastructure crossing private property, infrastructure being disconnected, capped, replaced, and altered under governmental permits. And residents being told there's no alternative while continuing to face some of the highest water costs around in the area. At some point, people have stopped believing that this is simply a difficult infrastructure issue. It starts looking like Oakview was politically and conveniently ignored. And maybe that worked 20 years ago. Maybe residents were expected to stay quiet. Maybe the assumption was that eventually people would give up. But residents are not giving up anymore, because this issue is bigger than water. It's about whether one group of tax-paying residents inside the village boundaries can be treated differently for decades while being told to simply accept it. It's about whether transparency actually exists in this village. It's about whether accountability actually exists in this village. And it's about whether the village intends to solve the problems within its village, or simply manage public frustration, manage public frustration until the next meeting. After 20 years, Oakview residents deserve more than another explanation, more than another study, more than another carefully worded email. We deserve answers, we deserve documentation, we deserve equal treatment, and we deserve to know whether the village is finally prepared to act or whether Oakview is expected to remain the permanent exception forever. The residents deserve an answer. They deserve to know if you're going to actually do something or you're just going to sit on it. Are you going to actually poop on the pot or are you going to just get off? We deserve to know. If you don't want to do anything, then let us de-annex from this village if you don't want to do anything for us. I've been coming down here for over a year with this board. And yet, it is total crickets every single meeting. If you need another copy of the email, since you don't want to look for it, I have it here. I'm giving it to Manager Cook. I have one for each one of you. Please reread that email.
Thank you. I'm going to go a little off script on this. Normally we don't respond to public comment, but I do want to point out that the commenter herself has in the past commented that this board is the first one to take this issue up. We've taken a lot of steps. We've been briefing every time we are at a point where we have something to share, and we will continue to do so. That'll bring us into the consent agenda. Items listed as part of the consent agenda are considered routine in nature and will be voted on together as a group unless a member of the village board requests to be considered separately. Tonight's consent agenda includes the May 4th regular village board meeting minutes and the May 18th invoice list. If there's a request to discuss an invoice item, please ask for that item to be removed so it can be considered separately. Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none. Because we want everyone in the audience, those watching at home and over the internet, to know what's going on with the agenda, I'll ask Village Manager Cook to provide an overview of each item.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and members of the Village Board. Tonight's consent agenda includes the following items. Item A, which approves the regular Village Board meeting minutes for May 4th, 2026. Item B, approves the invoice list for May 18th, 2026, in the amount of $487,659.84. Item C, acknowledges the monthly treasurer's report for April 2026. Item D, approves a special event permit for the 2026 Independence Day fireworks display and 4th of July parade. That fireworks display will take place on July 3rd at Community Park, with the parade and ice cream social beginning at 10 a.m. On the 4th. Item E, approves a special event permit for the Lisle Area Chamber of Commerce's Heist in Downtown Lisle, the case of the missing manuscript, which is planned for Thursday, June 4th from 5 to 9 p.m. Item F, approves an ordinance authorizing the carryover of certain budgeted funds into fiscal year 26-27 and associated budget amendment. The carryovers include approximately $2.7 million in revenues and $9.3 million in expenses. The vast majority of those expenses are capital improvement associated with the corporate capital improvements, stormwater, and water and sewer funds. Item G, approves a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a one-year contract extension with Best Quality Cleaning Incorporated for an option year 1 of 3 for janitorial services in the amount of $65,702. Item H, approves a resolution authorizing issuance of a purchase order for water meters to Core and Main in the amount of $50,000. And lastly, Item I, approves a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute an agreement with BLA Incorporated for professional engineering services for the Main Street resurfacing project in the amount of $112,059. The work encompasses Phase 1 and Phase 2 design for the north leg of Main Street, located between Ogden and Warrenville Road. BLA is also the firm working on the south leg, who also helped the village apply and secure over $1 million in federal funding for both of these, well, together, these two Main Street projects. Staff recommends village board approval of items A through I as presented.
Thank you for the review. May I have a motion to approve items A through I?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any public comment? Seeing none, any village board discussion? Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Duffy?
Aye.
Trustee Sima?
Aye.
Trustee Grau?
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan?
Aye.
And Mayor Mullen.
Aye. And consent agenda passes. That'll bring us to our regular agenda. Item A is a resolution of support by the Village of Lisle having shared jurisdiction with the Lisle Township Road District for the reclassification of Ivanhoe as a federal aid urban minor collector route. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Would Manager Cook please provide an overview of this item?
Certainly, Mayor. This item tonight approves a resolution of support for the reclassification of Ivanhoe Avenue as a federal aid urban minor collector route. The Lisle Township Road District did request that the board approve a resolution of support, as the successful reclassification would open up federal funding opportunities for the township to pursue infrastructure improvements in the area. Tonight we have Highway Commissioner Ed Young with us. I'd like to invite him to the podium to share a little additional background on this initiative.
Thank you. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for doing the job that you do. It's a thankless job, as we saw tonight. And you sit there and you take it, and also, I can't believe how many hours you must spend preparing for these meetings and constituents meetings. So I thank you for that. You're probably all familiar with Ivanhoe. Ivanhoe is a road that runs between Ogden and Warrenville. It's about a third of a mile long, 24 houses. I just handed out counts that we did last week, traffic counts, and there's 8,000 cars or vehicles going up and down that street a day. There aren't many solutions that's going to eliminate those number of cars. We put in speed bumps. We're going to put in speed tables at some point in time. From a safety standpoint, I believe the best thing that the road district can do is put in curbs, storm sewers, and sidewalks to get the residents back away from the street as far as we can. Obviously, putting in that kind of a project is beyond the means of the road district budget. So I have to go elsewhere to look. Obviously, I'm going to try and get to the one with the deep pockets, and that's the federal money. I need your support and other community support in order to go the way this process works. I make a presentation to the DuPage mayors and managers. If they approve it, then it goes to IDOT. And if they approve it, it becomes the FAU, and I would be available to apply for federal money. So that's what I'm here tonight asking for. And if you have any questions about Ivanhoe and traffic, I could be glad to answer them as best I could.
Thank you, Highway Commissioner Young.
Thank you.
Does that conclude the overview also, Manager Cook?
Yes, that concludes it.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there any public comment on this item?
Somebody's phone. Is it yours?
Thank you.
I don't see meat water.
Yep, we do. All right. Susan Srail. Tonight's resolution is being presented like routine paperwork, and it's not. The Village of Lisle is supporting the transformation of Ivanhoe Avenue into a federally recognized urban collector corridor. That means more traffic significance, more development pressure, more infrastructure expansion, and access to federal money. The resolution itself admits Ivanhoe is being treated as an important collector corridor connecting Ogden Avenue and Warrenville Road. It talks about the traffic flow problems, drainage issues, sidewalks, storm sewers, gutters, and federal funding opportunities. So let's stop pretending this is just some harmless classification change. This is corridor planning. This is future growth planning. This is long-term infrastructure positioning. And residents deserve the truth about what's really being planned, what future traffic counts are expected, what future development assumptions are tied to this, what additional burden gets pushed onto nearby neighborhoods, how much future expansion is really being discussed behind closed doors. Because suddenly, when roads are involved and the village can coordinate with IDOT, CMAP, federal programs, DuPage agencies, planners, engineers, and funding pipelines overnight. But when Oakview residents ask about water infrastructure equity, missing easements, wheeling revenue, or the 7.1 taken from the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, we get delays in FOIA denials, excuses, and silence. Amazing how fast government moves when the project benefits the village's growth agenda. This board wants residents to believe there's never money, never authority, never solutions for Oakview, yet tonight you're literally voting to position a roadway for federal funding opportunities. So the question is no longer whether the village knows how to fight for infrastructure money. The question is, who does the village choose to fight for? Because for decades, Oakview taxpayers have watched this village move mountains for corridor developments, branding studies, downtown projects, and expansion planning, while our infrastructure concerns are treated like an inconvenience. Residents are paying attention now, and the public is starting to connect the dots. We're starting to understand where we stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Seeing none for board discussion, let me just start off by addressing that we've been working with the Highway Commission and the residents on Ivanhoe for, I want to say, 3-4 years. So this is hardly something that happened overnight. Commissioner Young identified an opportunity that would enable funding for a project that would be able to take things further for the residents who have long been approaching both the village and the Highway Commission and asking for relief and help. So this is not something that happened overnight by any means. It has nothing to do with development. It's directly in response to resident concerns. So anyone else have any discussion or questions on this item?
I have one question.
Go for it.
Highway Commissioner Young, can I ask you a question? Moving aside how long federal dollars can come, right? Like we don't know the timeline there.
Yes.
Assuming the dollars did come, how long would a project like that sort of take? I imagine phases. Just, I'm more curious as to.
I have not gotten that far with the engineering. My was just a preliminary engineering cost estimate was over $2.5 million. But I think it could get done in 2 years. Okay.
And I remember from, I think you're right, Mayor Mullen, it was about 3 years ago. I assume the residents have been, I know they went to the township, but they've been working with you guys as well, kind of like giving their feedback as to their needs on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I remember we have, I think, like 10 or 15 homes here one evening, and we made sure that they all kind of got with you. So this is from direct feedback over the last couple of years as to what their needs are from an infrastructure component.
Yes. Really, there's no other option for the safety of the people. I mean, if you look at Ivanhoe, what can we do? When that house blew up, if you remember, there was a house that blew up on July 4th or the 1st. And we kept the road closed for a long period of time. And there was many complaints. Some people came in to visit all of you and complain about the closure. The fire chief called me routinely and complained about the closure. So that I don't think is a viable option. Perhaps making it one way be considered, but then again, I think you're going to face the same kind of complaints that if you closed it. So if you look at the whole thing, that the best thing I can think of is to get those people far away from the street and give them a place to walk, and collect the storm sewer, the water in the storm sewers, and give them curbs and gutters to try and keep the cars from going off the road.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm assuming, I just want to confirm this. Ivanhoe really is most of it's not even village property. So this is just us confirming that we support you in it. As to like development on there, we don't even control development of Ivanhoe from a long-term perspective. So
no,
we have a handful of homes that have annexed in. That's it.
Yeah, there's nothing, and we've had Not that I'm aware of. We've had no discussion with the village concerning development or not. This is just the road district, the highway commissioner, looking at this problem, saying, how can I do it? Talking to my engineers, talking to the residents, and this is the best solution we can come up with.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up. I'm
Thank you,
fully
sir.
supportive.
I just have one.
Yes, please.
I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but have you've spoken to the residents, or the residents are in support of this? I would
Oh, yes.
assume. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Any other board discussion? All right, seeing none, Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Duffy?
Aye.
Trustee Sima?
Aye.
Trustee Grau?
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan?
Aye.
And motion passes. That'll bring us to officials and staff reports. I'm going to mention one item before we go around to everyone else. There was a Memorial Day 5K run walk event dedicated to the fallen, was the name of it, that was originally planned. It was reviewed by the Public Art and Special Events Advisory Committee, and they recommended approval of their special event application. But following that recommendation, the organizer informed the village they were canceling the event for this year and would be working to host next year again. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of the cancellation, but encourage everybody to keep an eye out for it next year. It should be a really good event with the money going towards Fisher House to support those that we've lost and their families. So I just want to put a little word out that if you had signed up, it's not happening this year, but please keep looking for it next year. It should be a really great event. And with that, any trustees have a report? Trustee Duffy?
We'll address that Tate Woods Kindy question first. So a few comments there. This is going back 5 years from when I think they got approved. I do remember the traffic study that we've looked at, and I do remember there were some buses that were included in there. But don't fully, let's confirm that as to, I'm going off a little bit of memory here. But if that is different than what they were approved, or it's a deviation from their study, I would like to know that. And I know the chief was probably taking notes related to kind of, what we can do there, but it's sufficient in a way. Like I think we definitely we need to make sure that we have a long-term solution there, and that is on the school to also work with being a good neighbor includes doing that. So but I think I do remember that traffic study talking about.
It did have an assumption for far less buses, but at least a few involved. Yeah.
If there are no buses, then that is a deviation from what they told us, and I think that that's something we should be looking at. So that's it for me.
Anyone else with a report? Trustee McQuillan?
Yeah, we passed by this point earlier tonight, and I just wanted to say that Commissioner Trussell, who has completed his term on the Planning and Zoning Committee, I think he did a really exemplary job there, and he was very sensible and very reasonable. So I commend his service for the last 3 years on that board.
Excellent, thank you. Any other, Tris? I'll second what you said, Ed, but I really do appreciate Bill's public service and willingness to take on that job. It's not easy by any means. He's gone through several difficult, contentious projects while he's been there. So I'm very appreciative of his service, too. I'm going to turn it over for staff reports.
Just a couple of things tonight, Mayor. Memorial Day is coming up next Monday, and to honor those who have served and sacrificed for our freedom, we will have a solemn parade that'll begin at the Lisle Junior High at 10:30 a.m., ending over at the Veterans Memorial. A short remembrance ceremony will follow the parade, which we expect to be approximately 11 a.m. Also, there's been a fair amount of discussion and coverage out in the news and in the world about things going on in Springfield right now. The governor has proposed what is called the BUILD Act, which, if passed, would, among other things, override local authority to promote new housing opportunities. Lisle is one of many communities that is represented by the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, who has expressed serious reservations about the proposed regulatory approach, and in fact held a press conference on this just last week. So for anybody watching or paying attention, the BUILD legislation is pending in Springfield right now, And we encourage residents to share input with their state representatives if they've got opinions on that. That's all tonight. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Clerk Benton, anything for you? All right. With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Village Clerk Benton, please call the roll.
Trustee Grau?
Aye.
Trustee Duffy?
Aye.
Trustee McQuillan?
Aye.
Trustee Simon?
Aye.
Thank you, and we are adjourned.